I've got the list of questions here.
Alrighty, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. We are sorry for the few minute delay. Just noticed that we are already behind the clock there. But we got Mr. Terry joining us. We've got several things to show and talk about, and some questions. And then Mr. Terry is going to talk about last week at the fifth group reunion at Fort Campbell and what all they were up to, and some of the new guys and some of the old guys that were there, that not derogatory old guys, but new guys versus older guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If y'all have got questions, I tried to ask everybody on social media, and everybody just liked it and kept going and didn't type any questions, but I managed to dig up some. And then me and Mr. Terry wrote down or just ham boned some and just threw some together. So we'll have some stuff to talk about, pictures to show, and then talk about the reunion. So what did you want to jump into first? Did you want to talk about
I just got into the chats. My God, Mary Jo's on again. I thought she had to go to just watching at night. Hi, Mary Jo. Well, let's talk about the fifth group reunion and then kind of get that out of the way. Hey, Daniel. So every year in the week that contains September 21st of, I get confused. It's either 1961 or 64. Was when fifth group was first, what they call stood up or formed. And so every year in the week that contains the 21st of September, they have a week-long celebration of activities, and it's all kinds of stuff. I mean, they got golf tournaments, skeet shooting, but that's not what I go for. So the plan this year was my buddies John Holland, Tony Bandera and his wife, and Terry Minahan were going to come. Well, Minnie is going through his battle with cancer, so he wasn't able to make it. But John made it, and Tony and his wife made it. Altogether, there was probably only 7 or 8 guys from SOG there, which is kind of depressing. I know a lot of them, instead of going to the fifth group reunion, they go to SOAR, which is going on this week. But I really wanted to make it something special. As I've gotten older, I've really come to regret not staying in touch closer than what we did with some of the guys. And a lot of that has to do with technology. I mean, back in those days, we didn't have social media. We didn't have
cell phones, Facebook,
and all those different things. And it's really been thanks to social media. As much as I hate social media, it's all these Facebook groups of SOG that I've been able to reconnect. So in this picture, we've got, starting from the left, you got the troll, George Sternberg, and then my buddy Tony Bandera, John Holland,
Ron Owens.
What's Ron's last name?
Ron Owens.
And then you can barely see me behind. I didn't know Ron was going to stand up, so I'm kind of hidden back there. And then Marcus Witt from CCS, and then Doug Gottschall, who's the president of SOA.
Solid crew.
So, what did we do? What is this reunion? Well, we get there on Tuesday and kind of hang out in the hospitality room and watch all the younger guys drinking and socializing and hoping somebody's going to have pity on an old guy sitting there by himself and come sit down. And So we visited Tuesday night. We went out to dinner. Tony and his wife, Bill Werther, who was Tony's 1-1 up at CCN.
Mm-hmm.
We went to dinner. It was my birthday, Tony's wife's birthday, Minnie's birthday, even though he wasn't there, and Tony, his wife's wedding anniversary. So it was and the steakhouse we went to is right across the street from the hotel, so that was pretty cool. Wednesday, the big deal on Wednesday was the tour of the 160th Special Operations Squadron, which is I call it the Secret Chopper Squadron because it's all the choppers they've got their own compound. And it's like, if you think going through a main gate of a fort is security, going through this compound was 10 times the security. So anyway, we get in there and we had to check our phones because they didn't want anybody secretly taking pictures. So I don't have any pictures to show, but I got a lot of memories. We got to see the MH-46, which is the combat version of the Jolly Green, the Blackhawks, the combat version of the Blackhawks, the Little Birds, and I mean, we got to see them all up close and personal. Kind of as an aside, I had polo shirts made for me, John, Tony, and Minnie, and I can't get this damn thing to. Okay, there we go. I don't know. Probably doesn't show very well, but I had these polo shirts embroidered thanks to Daniel Protea. Dan, they turned out great.
Those are awesome. Beautiful work. Beautiful.
Man. So we wanted everybody to know we were from CCC. Well, Tony was from CCN, but we don't hold that against him. But so we got to see all the choppers, and as we were starting to head back to the hangar, the W3 that was giving us the tour said, "Oh, this MH-46 alongside the hangar here just came in yesterday, and it's got all the latest and greatest stuff on it. So let's go look at it." The guys who shoot will understand what I'm talking about. So we get on the chopper. He puts the tailgate down, and we get on, and we're looking around. And he's telling us that they redesigned the electrical system, and as a result, they were able to save 1,500 pounds in weight. Big benefit there because 1,500 pounds less weight allows them to have more lift, which means if they're in a terrain, for instance, in the jungle, because the Hueys always had a problem with adequate lift, 1,500 more pounds or less pounds of weight gives them more lift. So that was a big deal. Well, we're sitting there. I'm sitting in one of the nylon chairs because my hip and leg were done for. And I'm resting my arm on this thing, and it looked like a piece of armor plating by one of the side windows. And I'm kind of got my elbow up on it, and I'm feeling it, and it feels kind of textured. And I'm like, this doesn't feel like AR-500 target steel. It feels like some kind of plastic. So what he tells us is 3M developed this armor plating, and it's a bunch of layers of interwoven materials. There's 3 or 4 different materials in it, and it'll stop a 7.62 round, which is a 308, or in the Russian vernacular, it's the AK-47 round at whatever distance, he said. So he says, as a side effect of saving 1,500 pounds and then 3M coming up with this armor plating, the whole floor of this MH-46 is covered in this armor plating.
Damn.
All of the Blackhawks, the Little Birds, the MH-46, the pilots are covered not only underneath their seats, but they actually on the walls around the cockpit, they have armor plating, this stuff. Cool as hell. So then, let's see, that was Wednesday. So then we go over to the building. It's called the Hall of Heroes. And they have displays from all the different countries where Fifth Group has
operated and such.
Operated, yeah. We'll just leave it at that. And they've got a big SOG display with, mannequins, all the gear and stuff. And they've got a screen that they play this, what's it called, Bud? That Rob Graham's company. They do
the Arma game.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it's pretty realistic.
Oh, it's awesome.
Very realistic.
Yeah.
I don't do all that stuff, but I've seen videos of other games, and you see commercials on TV. The quality of the graphics is 10 times anything I've ever seen.
I really wish they'd get a deal with like PlayStation or Xbox, because I'm not good enough to do computer games, but I would love to play that game on PlayStation. That thing is so good.
So then we went at 5:30, or a little before 5:30, we went out to the memorial that was being dedicated to all the Special Forces guys, not just SOG, in Vietnam. And Bud put a picture up a little earlier. The monument, there's about 800 names. I heard 800 and something, because that's the official number that the government, DOD, uses for Special Forces killed in Vietnam. I heard Tilt saying something about 794 or something. So I don't know the difference in numbers, but the monument is both sides full of names. Kind of like the Vietnam Wall. Every name is engraved on this thing. And it was like, from what I understand, this monument was like $400,000. And I know I donated a bunch of money for it. Charlie Daniels' organization donated, God, what was it, 25 grand or more. There was a lot of large donations, and it was great. And then after the dedication, which was very moving, I guess is the word I'll use, kind of a tearjerker, because we're thinking back to the guys that we lost. And then I took a few pictures of certain names, like Wayne Anderson, who had been my roommate before John Howland, and I sent that to Minnie. And it was very, very emotional. I'll say that. So then we go back to the hotel, hang around in the hospitality room. And let's see, then on Thursday, John had to leave first thing Thursday morning because of a death in the family. So he left. Well, then Tony and his wife slept late. He said they always sleep till about 11, but they probably stay up half the night. I can't imagine, 12, 15 hours sleeping. But then again, when you get to be our age, that's all you do is sleep, it seems like. So Marcus Witt and I had an invitation. They had open house for a team house to go in and look at team house and that. Well, last year, nobody could find it. And in August, when the team came up to the St. Louis chapter of the Special Forces Association, I was talking to the captain, and I told him about what happened last year, that nobody could find it. And so he gave me his email address. I gave him my card, and we stayed in touch. And he said, you come to my team room, and we'll be waiting for you. So we went to his team room, and of course his team was the guys that I had met back in August. And it was kind of, I don't know. not embarrassing, kind of humbling for me, but it was also pretty cool because this one guy that I had met in St. Louis, he said, I've watched a bunch of your videos on YouTube. And he says, now some of the other guys are watching them. I thought that was pretty cool. So we started talking about different things, and they were asking me, you know, we were talking about gear, and this kind of touches on some of the questions that we have. Like probably the third question about the loadout and all that. And one of the things, I tried on the vest that they wear, you know, and it's got armor plating in it. It's got it's got a bunch of rifle and pistol mags and all that, you know, and they're asking me about our loadout, and I'm describing it, and I had pictures on my phone so I could show them what I carried. And very interesting in the respect that weight wise, then and now we're carrying about the same amount of weight, but it's different. We didn't have armor plating. Conventional units had those, what they call flak vest. We didn't wear helmets, you know, none of that stuff. Today, those guys, they're wearing a vest. They're not carrying a rucksack. They're wearing a vest that's got the armor plates. It's got all the mags on it. You know, we're carrying our mags in ammo pouches or canteen covers on our belt. And, but total weight wise, it's about the same. And then another question that I can answer now, what piece of equipment do they carry today that I wish we would have had back then? And I found it interesting because these guys today answered the question exactly the way I would have answered. Their answer was the same as mine, GPS. And, you know, and I told them, you know, of course, everybody wants to think it would have been night vision, but think about it. If you're in triple canopy jungle, there's no light, you know? So what good is night vision going to do? Because for it to work, you have to have some sort of ambient light. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have it. I mean, when it gets dark in that triple canopy jungle, I'm talking it's dark. You barely can see your hand right in front of you. It's so that was kind of interesting because they thought the same thing I did. And then we talked about, and I don't know that I got a really totally clear answer, but the need with technology today, okay, you got laptops and you got these little mini computers and you got your cell phones and all this other crap that you're carrying on your vest. But what if all that goes south? Do you know how to read a map? Do you know how to read a compass? And they kind of looked at me like, right?
Maybe.
I rest my case. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some things in training that probably need to be taught that's not being taught, you know, and I mean, hell, it could save a life.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you know, being able to read a map. Now, granted, right now, and, you know, mindset wise, we're thinking Middle East. Okay, you got Iraq and Afghanistan. Everything's more wide open. Whereas for us, you're in the jungle. You know, when you're wide open, it's pretty easy for the aircraft to see you. And they got all this stuff like the infrared thing that they put on their helmet. That was something I learned too, that instead of like we carried the strobe light, they carry something similar to the strobe light, but it's infrared. So they're able to signal the aircraft with this infrared, and it's just I guess you'd call it a better technology or more effective or whatever, because the bad guys can't see the infrared, you know, and that's a big deal, really, because in the jungle, even though that nylon sleeve that we carried the strobe in, if you just unsnap it, there's enough coming above the top edge of the strobe. It's directing the strobe straight up, but let's face it, in triple canopy jungle, it's still reflecting off of the trees. So you might as well shine a spotlight on your position. If you're out in the open, like in a bomb crater, that's a different story. But when you're in the trees, just like right now, you see Bud, whatever he's doing, every once in a while, you'll see a flash of light on his face. That's what the strobe light is doing in the jungle. It's causing this flash or whatever. You're waving.
Sunlight coming in on my face every time I move it.
So anyway, we did the team room and looking at the equipment, and the team that we were with was the fifth group's Halo scuba team.
Oh, wow.
And, I guess I don't know if disappointed is the right word. I think I was shocked. A lot of the equipment they're using is still the old style equipment, scuba gear. And I'm a scuba diver, or I haven't done it for a while, but some of the equipment they're using, it's like, well, I recognize that, and I'm thinking, oh, they're using all these latest and greatest rebreathers and all this kind of stuff. They're using a lot of the old school stuff. So we spent, Marcus and I probably spent about 45 minutes or so in the team room, and they had stuff to do, so one by one they were leaving. Then that night we went to the banquet, and there's probably I'm gonna say 300, maybe a little more, 300 people there. And the group commander talks and a few other people talk, and we eat, and we had a good time. So I'm sitting at a table with Marcus Witt, Tony and his wife, Bill Werther and his wife, and somebody else. I can't remember. My mind. So while we're eating, this guy who I had met, he overheard part of our conversation the night before in the hospitality room, and he came over and he says, I told my wife about you doing these podcasts, and he says she went back to the room and spent 5 hours watching your podcast. And
holy cow.
And as we were getting ready to leave the banquet to go back to the hotel, his wife came over to me and she said, I'm going to go back to the room tonight and watch a few more hours of podcasts. She says, we had no idea you guys did all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, what do you say? It's like, enjoy them. Enjoy the videos.
That's crazy. She's able to watch them like that and then literally come down and talk to you and then go back and see more of it. That's
I thought it was pretty cool.
That's really, really cool.
And something that I've learned over the years too is some of this stuff, if you let it go to your head, you're going to be like people who I won't name, but you can't let it go to your head. You gotta, and everybody that's watched me before, I laugh at my own stories. I mean, because some of this stuff's so unbelievable. If you can't laugh at it, then you probably weren't there. So go back to the hotel. We spend the rest of the evening visiting and stuff. And then Friday, we really didn't do anything Friday. Tony and his wife wanted to go to the PX and find some special forces related stuff. And we went to some PXs and stuff. Well, it turned out that the PX was basically 101st stuff.
Oh,
So,
just purely 101st.
yeah.
Oh man, that stinks. Especially with y'all being SOG and wanting specifically SF stuff. That was a real kick in the gut.
Yeah. So Friday was kind of a pretty relaxed day. Go back to the hotel, hang out in the hospitality room and all that. And then I left early Saturday morning to come home because I had to get home. It was about a 7-hour drive. And my wife had to go over to Illinois to her 50-year high school reunion.
Wow.
And I didn't get to go to that, which I feel bad because she came to mine when I got the Hall of Fame award. But anyway, she went and I had to get home and let the dogs out and feed them and all that good stuff. So that was it. That was the tour, and the warrant officer who gave us the tour of the 160th invited me back with my friends for next year. So that'll be on the agenda again next year. And my overall perspective of the reunion was getting back together with guys that I haven't seen in 55 years. I've been trying to think of a way to explain it, but it's friendships that are formed in combat are different from casual friendships. And once we got back together, and of course, we've all talked on the phone any number of times. I talked to John Holland this morning, and he's going to have to watch it later. It's almost like we haven't missed a lick, like we've been in touch all these years. And the funny stories that we shared with each other, that was more important to us. You know, we don't need to tell war stories and that because we all been there, done that. So, you know, you start telling war stories, everybody's trying to outdo each other, and we're not into that, like some people are. So that was the reunion.
Sounds like it was a good week for not only y'all but also the younger guys that got to come in contact with the Vietnam vets and chew the fat with y'all.
You know what's really sad though? On that Wednesday afternoon after we did the team rooms, they have what they call each year what they call an old and new mixer, and the intent of it is for the old guys and the young guys to mix and talk and everything. But really, it ends up being us old guys sitting at a table by ourselves, and the young guys who work together, they're off in their own little worlds visiting and talking shop, you know.
Like the
So,
school dance almost.
but I don't know of a way to really make it really happen.
Gotta have somebody being like, hey, y'all talked to these guys before about some of their missions, or have you heard about blah, 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 and just literally throw it out there and force it.
That's why I was hoping to do a live podcast from the Hall of Heroes, because we would have had probably 300 people in there.
Are active duty guys allowed? Because I know with some of the guys doing real modern day veterans, shall we say, or just retired veterans, they've been getting emails, or not directly from the government, but people still in said units or special forces groups saying, hey, here soon you may have to take that down, or you might need to take it down now. Are they free and clear to get on podcasts, or do they have like do we have to tell them what we're going to talk about, or
I would think,
not that it would be a problem. I mean,
I would think that if they were to get, like I'm doing right now, on a podcast, I would think that they would have to get that cleared by public relations office or somebody. And it would really depend on what they're going to talk about. I think they'd be very restricted in the kind of stuff they could talk about.
I don't think it would be crazy to even ask them about missions, but it would just be nice to ask. You could ask them, there's ideas of what I would like to ask them that would probably be okay, that wouldn't get them in trouble about asking, hey, what do y'all do when you go on operations, or where are you at, stuff like that. So maybe we can set that up. That'll be cool.
Us old guys kind of get a special look at some of that stuff because they'll talk to us because they know we've been there, done that. But to just generally be on a podcast, I think it'd be very restrictive on them.
Oh, yeah.
And I would think they'd be scared to death that they're going to say the wrong thing and then get nailed for it.
Oh, yeah. That would be, I would hate to them done it on our show.
But one of my contacts down there, I'll be talking to him probably soon. I'm going to ask him about that because he's in a position to be able to answer that question. And I'm going to ask him because I've got a bunch of contacts now of current active duty guys that it'd be cool to get them on if we could. I'll find out about that.
That would be awesome.
So enough on the reunion. So Bud and I got together yesterday, and he sent me a list of questions that people have been feeding to him, waiting on the next Budcast here. So I don't know, Bud, you want to just get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess we can just start it off from the top, and then we can show our little video here at the end that we've got. That at least we can show a partial bit of.
So, what would be the most constant thing you need to train on with special attention? And I'm relating that question back to SOG and not modern day. I think almost all of us would answer that question the same, and that's immediate action drills.
Which we'll see here in a minute after we do questions.
It's almost a given. I mean, let's face it, it's almost a given you're going to end up in contact. And whether you initiate the contact or they initiate the contact, you need to be able to have your team, whether it be a recon team, a hatchet force company, or a platoon or a squad, everybody needs to be trained, okay, in a given type of contact situation, what are you going to do? And so you constantly train for all these different potential scenarios. Like, for instance, you're walking in file and you stumble into an ambush. And the ambush is, let's say it's on your right side. How are you going to maneuver to get out of the ambush, out of the kill zone? Maybe it's straight ahead and you walk in, coming around a curve, and you walk into the bad guys. Now they're in front of you. How are you going to maneuver then? And so I think most of us are going to say that it's immediate action drills. And if Bud gets it to work out right, towards the end, we're going to play a video I took of my company doing immediate action drills, and somebody has asked for me to explain exactly what it is that we're doing. So we'll get to that. Okay. As for the funniest stories they've got, outside of that, I love hearing about gear hacks, repurposing tools of kit, etc. Would love details on that. I'm not sure if I understand that.
I think I think that was more. I probably could have cut the middle part out of repurposing tools of kit. He's probably one of that was that on that modern era thing. I guess the funny stories, and then the gear hacks would be like, did you ever, of course, make any alterations to any gear outside your gun, or make something, so to speak, that you carried that wasn't standard, shall we say?
Again, keep in mind that my responses to all this stuff is going to be based on a hatchet force perspective because I never ran recon. I was in hatchet force the whole 18 months I was there. So my perspective on this kind of stuff is going to be limited to what we did in hatchet force, which in a lot of cases is completely different than what they would have done on a recon team. I can't think of any really any repurposing or whatever of any gear. Um, John Holland called me this morning because he wanted to know what time we were going on, and I told him, and he's got an appointment, so he'll watch later. But he said, talk about duct tape. Even back in those days, we used duct tape down around our ankles to tape our trousers as tightly shut as we could to keep the leeches out. Oh man, them leeches. You can be guaranteed anytime you walk through water or watery grass or whatever, you're going to get leeches. And them suckers, they got these suckers and they dig into your skin and it's almost impossible to get them off. We found that the best thing to get them off of us was the little tubes of insect repellent. Believe it or not, you just squirt some of that on, or you could take a match and stick to it like you do a tick, and you could get it off. But that insect repellent, what does that tell you about insect repellent? That stuff had to be really nasty, but it worked.
That OD bottle, somebody shared a picture of it the other day, and all of y'all were talking about how I saw Ed and Howard Sugar even mention, he's like, that right there, if you could get it, that's the best bug repellent you could ever hope to use.
And I saw yesterday somebody posted a picture of the bottle of insect repellent, but they said they emptied it out and filled it with CS powder. So they could squirt that. So if you got dogs tracking you.
I think Ed did that also.
Yeah, it might have been Wolf. I can't remember.
He always was doing crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
What was a funny story that maybe we've not covered? Doesn't necessarily have to be in the field either, considering all of the shenanigans that went on and about.
Well, I mean, you know what my favorite one is. We talked about it yesterday. So without telling the whole story about how I got shot the first time, after I got medevaced and they took the bullet out and all that crap, they sent me to Japan for a month. Well, the week after I got shot, I was supposed to be going to Japan on R&R because one of my best buddies from high school was stationed in Japan, and I didn't know what he did. All I knew was he was in communications. So we get there on one day. The next day, they sew me up and put me in a walking cast because the bullet was in my left ankle. So they put me in this walking cast. And the next day, about 5:30 in the afternoon, we're waiting on supper. And all of a sudden I hear, "You about ready to go?" And it's my best friend. And I said, "How in the hell did you even know I'm here? Because I haven't been able to get a hold of you, you know." And he said, "Wait till we get out of here and I'll tell you." So I start getting dressed because I was lucky when I got shot. They took me back to the FOB and I had time to pack a bag. So I had to change the civilian clothes as well as a uniform and my camera and all that kind of stuff. And then they picked me up the next morning and took me to the hospital to have the bullet taken out. So I'm changing into my civilian clothes that I'd brought along. And the nurse comes up and she says, "What in the hell are you doing?" And I said, "Well, my buddy's waiting on me. His car's running outside." She says, "You can't leave the hospital." And I said, "What are you going to do? Send me back to Vietnam?" So that was a favorite expression. We all used it, and who cares? So we get outside, and I got to know, how in the hell did you know I was here? And he said, well, I'm in this secret communications unit that we relay all the messages from headquarters in Saigon back to the White House every day. And so since you got shot in Laos, we had to notify the president, you've been shot. This is your name. This is the hospital you're at. And these are the kind of stories you can't make up. I mean, it's just too crazy. The last podcast I did, I showed the form when it's time to get out of the hospital and be reassigned. They give you a form to fill out. Where do you want to be reassigned to? And for special forces, you only had two choices: Korea, and I hate the cold, or Vietnam. So it was a no-brainer. But if you check Vietnam, they make you go see the doctor. Well, what kind of doctor? I mean, I've already been released. Oh, he's a psychiatrist.
Jeez.
Okay, you go see the shrink. Why do you want to go back to Vietnam? Well, I volunteered for Vietnam. A tour is 13 months, and I've only been there 6 months. So I'd like to go finish out my tour. Okay. And he just signs off on it, and you're off and back to Vietnam again. Yeah. So something I haven't shown yet, it's kind of like the show and tell thing. In fifth group, whenever you got an award, and I don't know, Bud, how well this is going to show, your award, other than the medal that they pin on you in a formation, the actual award certificate for fifth group was these green thing. It says Fifth Special Forces Group, Airborne First Special Forces.
Oh man, it's still in its damn.
Inside is your, I don't know, I call it a certificate. And then on the other side is a copy of the orders awarding that certificate. And if you're getting like say a Bronze Star, Silver Star, whatever, it would have a copy of the write-up. And
that's it. That's it. You should start calling that your Vietnam diploma, your Purple Heart diploma.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's one of the funny stories. Oh,
you need to save, by the way, not to interrupt you, you need to save that, even, if you put the paperwork in something else, but the old green Vietnam era with the beret and the little insignia in the front, everything right now with that on it, even manuals or whatever, is going for astronomical amounts of money online and with collectors. So
and I would never. A few years ago, I sold a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to say I regret it because I want it to be enjoyed by people, but there's some things like this that
don't need to.
When I'm gone, I've only got one daughter and I have no relationship with her, and I've got one granddaughter, and she's in her own little world being a nurse and working 16-hour days. So
damn.
What's going to happen when I'm gone to all this other stuff that I have? I don't know. I've got a whole wall out in the workshop. I meant to bring, and John wanted me to bring it in and show it, but I'll do that next time. I've done it once. I've got a shadow box out in the workshop on the wall, and in that shadow box, one of the things that's in it is the rest of the bullets out of the gun that I got shot with the first time. It's one of those things. I call it funny. I mean, how many people can say they've got the rest of the bullets out of the gun they got shot with? Because the guy
who even sees the gun they get shot with most times,
Right. Well, I've got pictures of me holding the gun too. The guy didn't need any of that anymore, so why not keep it? Okay, next, let's go on. Kit loadout. Okay, so you've got the pictures. You want to do the one of me just off the chopper first, or you want to do the one with all my stuff on the wall? Either one.
Is the off the chopper, is that the sweater or
Yeah, the black
okay.
sweater.
I'll bring up the sweater because I'll have to pull up the wall real quick. So let me pull up the sweater, and while you're talking about that, I can pull that up.
So when we talk about clothing, periodically I'll see pictures of somebody wearing this piece of clothing, that piece of clothing. We were constantly being given, in the civilian world, they call it poppers. We had 2 different nylon windbreakers. I've seen pictures of recon guys with them, and the caption would be the recon jacket or recon windbreaker. Well, I got sad news for them. We got those in Hatchet Force too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this black sweater was another one of those things. Now, this picture was taken probably in January of 70, I think, because it was during the winter time. And you talk about 120 degrees and all that, but in the wintertime in the mountains, I remember one day in December of 69, it was 38 degrees out that morning at morning formation at 8 o'clock.
Jesus.
You know, well, we're in the mountains and it's wintertime. So, 68 or 38 degrees, and we're wearing field jackets. So I took this sweater along on this mission because, by the time they picked us up and inserted us and you're humping the boonies, it may be hotter than hell, and it might be 90 or 100 during the winter.
You've got your leggings on right there also, I've just now noticed for the first time.
Those are the socks. I'm not wearing the leggings. Those are my, I just tucked my pants into my socks.
Okay.
Still the same reason, keep the leeches out. And we were issued these sweaters, and they were actually pretty darn warm. So
I'm going to show off a photo of a CCS guy, Mike Crimmings, he always wore his on recon missions, and it'll give a side view, and he's not got his top part, his LBE on yet, and you can kind of see what it looks like, and I'll show that to you and everybody else in case you've never seen a different photo of a guy with one.
Okay.
Do you want me to go ahead and pull up the wall shot?
Yeah. In the picture that was just up, you'll notice I've got a 38 revolver right dead in front of me. And I started carrying that after my rifle jammed when I got shot the first time. And a lot of guys carried a 1911. Most of the other stuff, I think you'll be able to see it a lot clearer with that picture of my gear hanging on the wall in my hooch.
Would that is that going to be under yard camp or
FOB2?
FOB2. Where is grease gun, car 15.
Okay, it should be right next to the grease gun.
There we go. My wall.
Yeah. So
Jesus, all of these windows, my God. There we go.
Okay.
That one or?
Yep, that's the one. So looking at this picture, we'll start with the left side. You see the rope. Even though it was Hatchet Force, we always carried the rope and a carabiner because you never know, something happens. I got pulled out on the strings one time, and it was only because the choppers were taking such heavy fire. Almost everybody was out. I was going to be on the last chopper, and there was a delay because the fire was so intense. So we put on our Swiss seats and went out on strings. Only time I ever went on strings because, I mean, if you can imagine Hatchet Force trying to pull 100 guys out on strings, it would have taken all week.
Since that wasn't so much done often, going back to training, would that be something Did y'all even practice regularly?
Nope.
Jeez.
We knew how to, I say no. I mean, we knew how to do the Swiss seat and we knew how to snap it in, but that was the extent of it. Never once got to practice like out on the chopper pad or back on the range or anything. Recon teams did. They got to do a lot of training stuff like that we never got to do because the prevailing thought was, well, it's hatchet force, so you'll never come out on strings anyway. Well, I did one time. And then next to the rope is a bag of 30 round mags for my grease gun. Completely impractical for the jungle. Upper left next to the rope, you see the gas mask. And then on the harness, right next to the gas mask at the very top of the picture, as you're looking at this picture, it'll be on the left side up against the gas mask. That's our strobe light. And then over on the other shoulder, which would be wearing it, it'd be the left shoulder. I carried a Air Force survival knife. Some guys carried a Randall. Some guys carried a what was a Marine knife?
K-bars, Gerbers.
And each one of us, it was purely preference, and each one of us has arguments why we carried the specific one that we did. I carried the Air Force survival knife because it was a thick blade. It had its saw teeth on the back of the blade, and the handle, the butt was like a hex-shaped giant solid chunk of steel. So it was good for hammering. Let's face it. How many guys have you ever heard that can honestly say that they were in a knife fight? There's a couple, maybe some of these like the A camps getting overrun or whatever, but in the jungle,
not many.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody honestly say that they were in a knife fight. So with that in mind, do you need a fighting knife or do you need a tool that can be used for a variety of things? So then John Holland and I, when we were talking this morning, we were talking about, some of the differences in gear between recon and hatchet force. And one of the things I found interesting that was the same, and you can see in this picture at the back, well, you see a canteen on the left and you see 2 ammo pouches in front, but then there's 3 more ammo pouches. In hatchet force, most of us carried 400 rounds, which it's rounded off. It's actually 380 rounds because you only put 19 in a mag. But John said he did the same thing on recon, 5 magazines in a canteen cover, the old style canteen cover, and then a grenade on top, and you snapped it shut. So each canteen cover, you've got 100 rounds plus a grenade. And then these squared off ammo pouches in the front, they had little tabs on the side where you could hang a couple of grenades. And I think they held like 3 mags each. 2 canteens. Right below my knife, well, right, it's touching the gas mask. You see that little silver with a black tape around it. That's electrical tape. That's one of what I call the mini smoke grenades. Them big smoke grenades were fine and dandy, but in triple canopy jungle, you throw one, and unless you're in like a bomb crater or something, if you're just in the jungle, that smoke might travel under the trees, and it might come up out of the trees a click away from where you're really at. These little ones, for some reason, seem to do a better job. But a lot of us also carried the little pin flare guns, which was just about the size of an ink pen, and it had a spring-loaded knob on it, and that was your trigger. And you'd screw a mini smoke grenade on. Those things would penetrate the triple canopy jungle. So if you need to signal Covey or whoever, that was the best thing when you're in the triple canopy jungle. And then we all carried claymores. I carried mine in my rucksack. Some guys I've seen carried them. Somebody yesterday, I think it was, posted a picture. They carried it on their chest. He was a recon guy.
Ed Walkoff and David Kirschbaum.
So again, a difference between, because in Hatchet Force, I guess you could say it was more safety in numbers. We had more time to organize and fight back, whereas a recon team, when they got hit, they're going to be on the run. And, another thing different is that, and John brought this up too, there was a couple of recon teams, Joe Walker being probably the most notorious. He would go out looking for trouble. And that really wasn't the purpose of the recon teams. You're supposed to be going out and not being found and recon in the area. Well, Walker, his thing was he wanted to go out there and stir it up as much as he could, and then let the Hatchet Force come in and theoretically come in and kill all the bad guys, but it never really happened that way. Airstrikes did a whole lot more than we could have ever thought about doing. In our jungle fatigues, in the right chest pocket was where all of our Americans, again, this was on Hatchet Force, that's where we always carried our 3 morphine syrettes. So like when I got shot, I sat there and spent about 10 minutes building up the courage to stick a needle in my leg, and I had my own morphine, but it was also to use on somebody else. But everybody would know we all carried it in the same spot in our chest pocket. Then over on the left chest pocket, I carried my compass. Then in the left lower leg down between on the thigh, they had those big cargo pockets, and that's where I carried my map on one pocket and the big signal panel on the other pocket. And and then in that other picture, you see I started carrying a pistol. Some guys carried a pistol in a shoulder holster or whatever. And again, purely preference, what you wanted to carry. Let's see. Well, I already talked about what would I use if I had access to modern equipment. Well, all I can say GPS-wise, I mean, I've got 2 Garmin GPSs, and out in my woods, when I'm back in the woods and I want to mark like where a deer stand is or something, I have absolutely no trouble with the GPS working. So even though I say, yes, that's the thing I would like to have, I don't think GPS would have been a problem, but I can't go back and do it because we didn't have GPS then, so I can't say 100%. Let's see, bud. What's the next one? How would you compare special forces in Vietnam to today's? How well would we do compared to then if we had to do Vietnam today? There's been so many improvements in technology and When we were at Marcus and I were in the team room, that was kind of one of the things we were talking about was then versus now. And these guys are like, we learn in, well, today they call it the Q course. In my day, they called it training group. They teach your tactic, our SOG tactics in the Q course, because a lot of it still applies, even though you may not be in the jungle, it still applies today, that it's sound principles on the techniques in that. And again, if I had access to modern equipment, hands down, it would be, well, there's two things, actually. Two things. One is a lot more minor, but still, and besides the GPS, the other thing would be the suppressor on the Car 15. When they modified the M16 to become a Car 15, they changed the dynamics of the suppressor, but still in pitch black dark, when you're shooting, there's still flames spewing out. The guys were showing me down at Fort Campbell, the M4s, you see the pictures of them on missions, and everybody thinks that's a silencer on their gun, but it's not. It's a suppressor. And the purpose of the suppressor being exactly that, to suppress all the flame, the muzzle flash. Because if you're, no matter whether you're in the wide open or in the jungle, that muzzle flash gives away your position. So that would be my number two piece of more modern equipment is a real, honest to goodness suppressor. And these guys today say that it's a game changer because it hides their position when they're firing. The next one we kind of talked about is high tech taken away from the skill set of today's operator. Again, map reading, compass reading, all that kind of stuff. You can never overemphasize how important that was. I think even in today's environment, this is one I love. Is there an easy way to spot bullshitters on the internet? Yes. There's a lot of supposed SF operators out here. Most folks are ill-equipped to spot them. Okay. One thing that just really jumps out is when they say, "Oh, my records are still classified. There's nothing in my records about being in SOG." Bullshit. You have to know how to read the records. And the biggest fallacy that I see, even some of my era guys, they say, "Well, look at the DD-214. I'm sorry, but the DD-214 is not going to tell you that you were in SOG. A DD-214 is your record of service, and the only unit that it's going to show is the unit that you're in at the time you're being discharged or retired or whatever. And it'll show all your awards and stuff, and it shows from this date to this date your length of service. But the form that shows all of your actual duty assignments is called the DA Form 20. And we posted mine on here on a previous podcast a while back. And what it'll show is the official address, if you want to call it that, for SOG. In my case at CCC was SOA, Special Operations Augmentation, CCC, Command and Control Central, 5th Special Forces Group, 1st Special Forces, APO 247. So if you're in SOG, and there's a few exceptions, I know there's stories about, there was a SEAL or whatever, and maybe some Australians, but 99% of SOG was fifth group. Or, back in the earlier days, you had the snake bite teams coming over from first group in Okinawa, stuff like that. 46th Company from Thailand. But so the big thing is you were assigned to fifth group, and then it showed your assignment address, SOA, CCC, or CCN, CCS. If that's not on their DA Form 20, they can tell all the war stories they want about how they killed 100,000 VC and all that, which, number one, we weren't fighting VC, we were fighting NVA. So they'll get terminology, these so-called wannabes, they'll get the terminologies all screwed up because they don't know the right terms. And, I've had to deal with two of them kind of people. One was the husband of a lady that I worked with, and he didn't know that I'd been in SOG. And so he was posing, and I even found him on on the internet that he was one of the worst posers out there. Now, this has been, 20 years ago. But what was his name? Ed, I forget the last name. But anyway, so it's not that hard if you know the terminology and you know what to look for. And if you know some of the stuff, like if he says, well, it's not on my DD-214. Well, it wouldn't be on your DD-214 anyway, dumbass.
Or anytime someone says my records are still classified, that's pretty much the biggest red flag you need.
Because not everything, but most everything about SOG was declassified back in 1991 because we got awarded the Presidential Unit Citation. Well, you can't talk about the shit we did in Laos, Cambodia, and North Vietnam if it's still classified. And coincidentally with that, that's when, for the last of the guys that were over there, that's when the 20-year non-disclosures ran out. So once the non-disclosures run out, you're free to talk about it. But these posers, and I don't want to get into politics, but, you get into people like an individual last year that was running for vice president, and he's wearing a special forces cap. He's a poser, So, yeah, it's really, if you think somebody is a poser, there's places where you can go to check, I guess, online. You got Steve Sherman has got all of his books, and he'll look somebody up for you, I think.
Oh, yeah, he's the go-to.
I need to get with him because, like I just showed you my Purple Heart Award, when I got shot, I actually got awarded the Purple Heart twice for the same gunshot wound. One was issued by the hospital, and this one that I showed was issued by fifth group. So the one that's in my records is the official one is the one from fifth group. I need to send him a copy of that because I was told that he doesn't have a record of that. So I need to send him a copy of it. Okay.
The last two, I think, will end up being the best. Those other two were kind of wonky, to be honest.
Well, this one about paperwork. The question is, what paperwork? It says, how much paperwork were you forced to do before your missions? My answer is absolutely none. Mm-hmm. What was the turnaround time from submission to approval or rejection? Was a mission ever rejected because it was written in the wrong font?
Yeah,
I don't get that. There were missions that were, the missions came down. Some of them actually came from the White House, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, then Saigon, and then they would come to the FOB. and say, okay, this is a hatchet force mission or this is a recon team mission. And there were missions that were, I don't want to use the word refused because that makes it sound like you're dealing with some chicken shits. They were rethought. Would this make sense? Would it result in a bunch of KIAs? We're going to end up losing a bunch of guys. So there were missions that came down that ended up being canceled for different reasons. I remember one time in '69, one of the maybe it was the only time. No, there was two times. The entire American contingent in my hatchet force company, we got called into a briefing for a mission, and we were going to go help out CCN, and we were going above the DMZ into North Vietnam, and we sat in that briefing, and they're telling us stuff like, within 25 minutes, there could be like 10,000 troops.
Oh my God.
Within 10 minutes, there could be a regiment because you're going into their backyard. And we're like, why in the hell would you want to put a whole hatchet force, 105 men? Why would you, all the aircraft and all the stuff it would take to do that? Why would you even think about doing something like that? And we never got any answer about the whys. It's just like, well, this is the mission. And, we talked about it, and we didn't have to talk about it very long. They came back and, we started training and everything, and they came back and said the mission's canceled. Never told us why it was canceled or anything. But I think they realized that would have been a nightmare trying to support us, So, yeah, so the last two questions that we have, and let's see, what advice would you give to yourself back then? Same advice I gave myself back then. Listen to the old timers. There's a reason why older guys are still alive. I mean, it just makes sense. Learn from their experiences. And in Hatchet Force, we were very lucky because there were guys, like say maybe an E7 or something. He may have had prior tours. He may have had recon experience. And then he decided, well, I'm going to slack off a little and go to Hatchet Force. Well, we didn't slack off, but you get the idea. Learn from the old guys. Learn everything that you can possibly learn. And we had some really good old guys. One of my favorite, he was my platoon sergeant, was Lloyd O'Daniels, who later became a Covey pilot. And, they can teach you a lot, and they can teach you how to stay alive because they've obviously managed to do it themselves. I'd like to know if it was as much fun as I imagine it was. That's kind of interesting. I've been thinking about that question all day. It's kind of an interesting question because I don't know if fun's well,
right word.
Well, but then again, you look at some of the stuff we did when we were not out in the field. We worked hard, but we played even harder. And why did we do that? Not because we were bored. When you're out on a mission and you lose a guy, he's one of your teammates. You trained with him, you've lived with him, you've taken your meals with him, and he either gets killed or he gets wounded so bad that he's medevaced. How do you deal with that? And that's something we've talked about. People ask a lot. I think most guys, we dealt with it A lot of drinking. Yes, there was a few guys that did the dope and stuff, marijuana especially. But I know when I came home the last time, the 30 days I was home on leave, I was drinking 2 cases of Budweiser a day. Had a brand new Corvette convertible, and I had my mind on one thing, and it really wasn't the beer, if you know what I mean. And I went cold turkey when I got down to Bragg, and it like to killed me. But that was mine and a lot of other guys. That was our way of dealing with the losses. Um, when I was delayed coming back from my extension leave at the beginning of December '69, and my roommate, Wayne Anderson, volunteered to go in my place because I wasn't back yet. I've lived with that it's gotten better in the last few years, but every year on December 3rd, I kind of take the day off and I kind of reflect back on Wayne. And I kind of broke him in when he first got to the yard camp in March of '69. And I kind of, for years and years, I felt responsible because if I would have been back, it was beyond my control to get back, because I'm relying on civilian flights from Fort Lewis. But nevertheless, it weighs on you, and it over the years it really bothered me. But I've come to grips with it that there's nothing I could have done, And Wayne, other guys refused to go, and Wayne had the balls to stand up and say, "I'll go," And I would have done that for him. It was again what I call the brotherhood. I was disappointed when I learned that some of the other guys in the company refused to go because it was going into Oscar 8 and they knew what was going to happen, but Wayne went. So we all deal with that stuff in our own ways. And one of the guys down at Fort Campbell last month had actually heard me talk about some of this kind of stuff on one of the other podcasts. And so I asked him the question. I said, just to make sure I understand, is there any kind of psychological testing or questioning that you guys go through today that might identify somebody who, for instance, is going to freeze when the first shot gets fired? And the answer was not really. He said, it's exactly what you say. You can train and train and train until you're blue in the face, but it's not until that first shot gets fired that you know how somebody's going to react. So some things never change. I don't know how they could do some kind of psychological. I mean, they could come up with all kinds of tests, but are they really valid, on predicting how somebody's going to act? I don't think they'd be valid tests myself, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Let's see. But yeah, I mean, was it fun? John and Minnie and I talk about that. Me and Tony and I have talked about it separately. We did a lot of crazy stuff that was to have fun. Some guys hung out a lot in the club. Oh, that's right. I promised you I would show this. I didn't spend a lot of time in the club, and it's not because I didn't drink. Believe me, rice wine was my weakness back then. But I spent a lot of my time in my room, and Bud's got pictures of my room. I had a refrigerator. I had my reel-to-reel tape decks. I had a radio. But I spent my time in the evenings quite often teaching my yards English, and them teaching me their dialects, because the hatchet force, especially, we had a mixture of Jirai, Rade, Sadang, Banar, all these different tribes, and it was a conglomeration. And so I have here pages and pages and pages of all like the different dialects. Bud and I were trying to figure out the sign at the yard camp said Haru Hong, HRUHHONG, and I didn't get a chance today to go through this. I'm trying to figure, but I will. I'll go through every one of these. But I felt like it was really important when the shooting starts, especially to understand what the yards are trying to tell me, and for them to understand if I give a command, I want them to understand what I'm asking for so I don't lose time going through an interpreter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, to me, that made all the sense in the world. So that's what I did. I spent, well, I think everybody knows I had a Montagnard girlfriend / wife. We had a ceremony down in the village. I drank the village chief under the table, so then that became, I was expected, if we weren't out in the field, I was expected on Sundays to go down in the village. And one of my yards told me the way to put a stop to it is to let the village chief drink you under the table and kind of, regain his, because apparently he lost a little bit of whatever you want to call
face
it.
with you.
But it made me very, very popular with the yards between that and having a yard girlfriend. And I treated her pretty damn good. And I treated my yards good too. And when it came time to come home, that was another one of those moments in time that was a real tearjerker, because I was afraid when the war was over what was going to happen. And of course, that's what did happen. And we kind of left them hanging. So I don't know, but I'm not seeing anybody posting anything for the last.
We've got some questions that deal with the IA drills that I've been saving.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want me to go ahead and bring up that video?
Yeah.
There were some talking about bringing back knives and weapons, and of course, absolutely, SOG guys brought back a lot of stuff.
Well, that's good. I mean, and I'll say it till they day I die, that I think from a training perspective, okay, did you usually navigate in the jungle using a pace count versus terrain? No. Terrain association, compass azimuth, and your covey up above. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, and it really, because the maps were so terrible, if you got an opportunity where you had a break in the trees above you, you could use your signal mirror and signal covey, and then he could tell you exactly where on the map you are, and you could compare that to where you think you're at on the map and make adjustments based on that. And I'll be honest with you, because the maps were so poor, that it was not uncommon. Actually, I'd say it was more common that you weren't where you thought you were. You only may be 500 meters off, but 500 meters is 500 meters, especially if you're out for something specific, like a road or a trail or, a
bivouac or whatever.
Exactly. Redneck, I'm trying to figure out the joke here. The VC looked at that jungle and heard all of them critters. You know what they heard? Calories. Yeah. The bugs were terrible. I mean, the critters. Well, I had my two bad experiences with snakes, but that was the only two in 18 months that I had with a snake. I don't know of anybody that got bit. I know there were people over there, but I don't know of anybody in Hatchet Forest while I was there that got bit by a snake. I've read the entire Vietnam War that there was like 7 Americans killed by tigers. We a couple of times we would hear a tiger, but I think because they realized there were so many of us that they would just pass us by and move on.
Several Marine recon men got eaten up by. They seem like they had the worst luck with the tigers. Them and the lerps for some reason.
The one time that I went into Cambodia, which was 2 weeks after I got back from the hospital from being shot the first time, not only did I get shot again, but we ran into a female elephant with a baby in the bamboo, and she attacked. And, you got to do what you got to do, unfortunately. And it was a terrible thing to have to do, but she would have killed us all,
Oh, especially with those babies. God, that's like a mama bear with cubs.
Exactly.
Bad news, just all the way around.
I've got bears back in my woods. I've got a picture on my phone of one climbing a tree. But this time of the year, you got the baby. Well, in the spring, really, you got the babies. So this video Bud's playing.
And before we start it, since we didn't get the disc was not working, this is a follower, and Bo might be watching. Bo Ford, he's in the group, my little group that we have, Mr. Terry online, the studies observation history, not the big one Jason has. So for YouTube algorithm that is watching, the footage that is about to be played is the owner is on camera. Mr. Terry, for algorithm purposes, say I own the footage that is about to be played, please.
This is part of my movies. I own this footage. I've provided copies of. Bud has a copy of my film, but we're having trouble getting it to play. I played it on my laptop, the one I'm on right now, but I don't know what kind of equipment Bud's using, but he's having some issues, and eventually we'll get that worked out. And
but I just wanted that to be known, not only for Facebook, but for, won't mention names, but for other people that may watch this. So
yes, and this footage and some of the other footage has been played and replayed by a number of different people. So this was just a chopper. I think this one's coming into land. It looks like a king bee, maybe. So our chopper pad was down. That's back by the range, back behind camp, and that's along the side of the range. And you can kind of see all our stakes. And we had
that's the house right there. Yeah,
that was the picture I was telling you. When they mortared our camp, they fired through the roof of that house, and then later on, they patched it up. So you don't trust anybody.
Here we go. This is what everybody's.
So what we're doing is we're practicing as if we're going in a straight line. And first we're going to walk through what we're doing. So we walk through and we're getting everybody. And I was yelling at them because they were too bunched up. I just felt like, okay, now the shoot. So what happened is I was off to the side, and besides filming, I fired a couple of rounds at the berm to get this thing started. And so when the shooting started, the first thing we're teaching is you got to be aware. You see how they're going right and left, because most ambushes, you're going to be hit from two sides. You're not going to, about the only time you're getting hit straight on, which we were kind of demonstrating here, was if you're, say you're on a trail and you round the bend, or you're on a straightaway and the lead element of the bad guys comes and you go face to face. Well, so what we're trying to do here is get everybody spread out in a line so we can start moving towards the bad guys. And at some point, we're going to start the ends, from the ends inward, we're going to start what we call a wheeling motion and start curving around.
That is a shitload of rounds coming down range on people.
And that's my buddy Jim Jerson, who was killed in action on the bright light going in after Bob Sheridan.
That's why he had the Thompson in your picture.
He's playing with my Thompson. I traded a truck driver for that Thompson. I traded him an M16 for that Thompson.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so we're trying to practice all different scenarios of where you might get hit from the right, from the left, from head on. That was my wife.
Y'all actually got some in the deep grass to where y'all can work a little bit without sight, it looks like, too. Damn.
So yeah, we just practiced over and over and over. That was my...
We had one question before we finished the footage. Let me pull this up for one of the viewers that asked about what you're doing in contact. Question: when you made immediate contact and dump rounds towards the enemy, how many mags would be used? Would you fire and move, or fire and take cover?
Normally fire and move, because you want to move to a more defensible position. I guess really take cover is the same thing as fire and move, because
you got to move
moving towards a spot where you can take cover. And again, it depends on where the fire is coming from. And in the triple canopy jungle, in today's world, like say Afghanistan, for instance, you're wide open. There's rocks and stuff, but generally you're wide open. Whereas in that jungle, you're firing back at muzzle flashes or sound. Very, very rarely do you ever actually see the people that you're shooting at, And
that's terrifying.
Will this video continue on?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Here's our boxing match.
So the boxing match, some of our yards, they were wanting to get into gunfights to settle a beef with each other. And these two guys, for instance, we broke up an almost fatal thing. So the guy in the white T-shirt, Frank Bellatier, he had somebody back home send him a couple of pairs of boxing gloves. So the idea was that at 5 o'clock formation in the evenings, you got a couple of guys that have a beef with each other, let them box it out. And so that's what's going on here. And the yards loved it. They really got into it. You see, we got the entire company watching. And
he's doing spinning back fist and
and you see the way they're swinging is roundhouse punches and what have you. But
look here, and I'm going to swing the little Three Stooges.
The guy in the tan pants, see, there he goes again. He's just swinging his arm up and over like this big roundhouse punch. So, that's what was going on there.
That's great footage.
I don't know if it's in the next section or not.
Hang on, we got a knockdown.
Yeah.
Whoa! Oh
yeah. Well,
he finally connected with him.
And this, I I think I was probably in a Jeep because it
Water
looks like
buffalo?
I'm pretty low. And this was just on the road going to the FOB and,
Damn.
scenery. I was real big on taking a lot of scenery pictures. This is the road going to Khartoum. And so you see it where we
Khartoum,
were.
the city? Khartoum
Yeah.
proper?
Well, the FOB, you
Oh.
come to the FOB before you came to the city. So there's a bunch of yards going down the road. There's those little mini motorcycle things.
Lambretta things.
Here's
Yeah.
the FOB.
Oh.
So right on the right side of that, on the right of the road is the chopper pad. That's the first thing you come to. And then
Yeah, there's choppers right here. Yeah.
yeah. And okay, now you're going to see a ton of choppers. These choppers were lining up for a mission October, I think 29th of 69. The word was that this North Vietnamese defector had given them information about a POW camp that held Americans. Well, we all know now that was bullshit. We were set up. So they send, I didn't go because I was leaving that day or the next day to go home on my extension leave. As this keeps playing, you're going to see a ton of choppers and Cobras and everything. Well, this is when they left to go on that mission. And one of the King Bees, Ron Bozikas, is in the door of the King Bee. And, of course, I didn't know when I took this film that'd be his last day alive. But these are the choppers one by one coming into land to get everybody loaded up. There's
amazing footage. I mean, this
Cobra.
is.
And I was kind of surprised, but even the Cobras landed at the FOB and escorted us up to Dak To, or them up to Dak To. Okay,
good God Almighty! Look at the King Bees.
Yeah. So they're getting ready to start taking off. And
damn.
Oh yeah. Well, you got to figure you got 105 guys at full strength, and
wow.
Okay, I think this is the chopper with Bozikas on it.
Yeah, you're already seeing Americans.
Yeah, there he is sitting in the door.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
he's got his gear, his cravat on.
Oh,
man,
yeah.
that is just so eerie. There's a
it is, and I've debated for years. His sister, that's still alive, she lives about an hour and a half from me, and I've debated for years about whether she would want to see this or not. And I've just been afraid to ask her. We're friends on Facebook, but I've been afraid to ask her.
I think considering he's in high spirits and nothing is of, shall we say, dealing with his death, I if it was my dad or my brother, me personally, that would be some amazing footage to see, even though the circumstances are bad. But that's.
I've got an old friend that's friends of the family. I think I'm going to get a hold of him and kind of have him ask the question.
I definitely would. I mean, because that's an amazing piece. Look at it. They got to just drag off because they're loaded up so much.
How'd you like to be on the ground and see one of them coming at you?
Oh, hell no.
I mean,
there we go.
Okay.
Full party time.
I had my mom send me one of these blow up swimming pools, and this is our fun time again. So it was me, Wayne Anderson,
Alan Farrell,
and Alan Farrell. Let's see. I think, okay.
Is Frank with you actually too?
No.
No.
Let's see. That's me standing up.
There you are.
Now that's me in the underwear laying with the beach ball. That's Alan Farrell pouring water on me. And then Wayne is over to the left. And
got to play girl shoot.
Look how dark my face is, and the rest of me is white because, the sun. And then here's a team coming in on strings.
Damn, like rifles hanging in the whole nine.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know.
Got
And
their
this, I
packs loaded
believe,
down.
this was at the FOB.
Wow. God. Oh, a Sky Raider.
There's an A1. I took this up at Leghorn, I think. I must have because I'm way up there.
Yeah, no Sky Raiders usually going to be flying over the FOB, are they?
No.
Doing the.
This is a game. Again, trying to, whatever you want to call it, team spirit, whatever. So we'd play this game, and the yards, they actually loved it. They thought it was funny to see somebody get so crazy and dizzy. And that's it.
Shit.
That's it.
That's a CCS film I've got. I better stop there, or else before I get the okay, or else I'll be accused. So, damn, that was good. I've got to get this disc working because if there's 15 more minutes on there, damn.
You know what? I don't think there is. I think that's it.
You think? Okay. I was about to say, geez.
But I still don't understand why
it's not working.
I don't understand why it's not working for you.
I've got my laptop, and when I was sent stuff on a hard drive that Bruce sent me, it would not work on this one through the thing. So I'm going to put it on my laptop and see if I can get it to play on my laptop. That might.
And I'm going to talk to Daniel. He's our graphics expert.
Our graphic designer, better yet.
I'm wondering if I need to change the suffix, the dot, whatever. If I change the format of it, that might make it work for you.
We'll have to ask Daniel because I just know how to download photos, JPEGs, and all of that. As y'all can tell, I'm a caveman when it comes to computers.
I found out something else yesterday, too, that we need to look into. StreamYard gives you the ability to stream what we're doing right now on not only on YouTube, but at the same time, you can stream it on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. I'm working on becoming, I haven't built up to Jason's level. I've got to unlock one more thing. And once I unlock that, I'll be able to go live on that and add it into the mix. Unfortunately, it's a slow build on Twitter. Jason's, he's a full-blown X influencer or history page now. I'm slowly lagging, but getting there. But yeah, once we do that, I'm going to try and have it. I think I can do it on Instagram also, actually. So we could do YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.
Oh, I see some more. My thing over with the comments is not working like it normally does, but I see some more questions. This is a good one. Were SOG veterans ever able to send weapons, knives, or any cool war shit home? Yes. For instance, the pictures of me holding the rifle that I got shot with, that was an SKS, so it's a single shot weapon. I could have filled out a one-page form and been allowed to bring that rifle home with me. The problem is, while I was in the hospital, the sergeant major took the rifle and used it to trade for floor tile for the club. So, it's gone forever. But
God,
let's see.
I've heard more nasty stories about guys getting stuff home. Even guys that got certain things home, they had something even better to get home. And either the Air Force would take it or it'd get stolen when they got injured or that was at CCC, Michelle. And Michelle is John Allen's daughter, by the way, CCN legend.
Is
from
Michelle
Alabama. Yes. She was
Oh,
just saying, in her opinion as well, give the sister an option and she is the
yeah.
son of a SOG vet, I should
The
say.
more I think about it, I wish I would have dealt with this years ago. But the problem was that when I sent my movies to Walmart to be converted to DVDs, they screwed them up, and everything was real
Glitchy and poppy.
fluttery and real bright. And just, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, I got some software that allowed me to go in and
Clean it
fix
up
it.
a bit.
Yeah. So that's what you're looking at is way better than what Walmart did for me. So, um,
We
but
need to I really need to get in touch with Jason, and we really need to get a new batch of questions in here for our
yeah,
next show because we've gotten through most of them here.
let's see.
Oh, I had one more question before we start to close out, and this one just came in on my Twitter. But people have been curious about hearing when either FOBs, air bases, or the like, or A camps being overrun and American weapons being captured. Did you have personally any times going up against American weapons, or do you know of any men that you know going against American weapons?
The answer is yes. Um, well, okay. Do we have time for me to
Oh,
divert you
yeah, we've got
from
another
the
20,
story?
20 minutes or so.
I
Yeah,
mean, I got all kinds of time, but
yeah.
okay. So my very first mission, um, Michelle, the video was of CCC and the yard camp.
FOB2. Yep.
Yes, FOB2. Um, so we were going in on a SLAM mission. It was both companies, Company A from the FOB and Company B from the yard camp. And we went into Hotel 9. Well, everybody knows that Hotel 9 was the regimental base camp area for the 66th NVA Regiment, which will play into the direct answer to your question in just a minute. So, Company B, my company, we were in the front. The map showed this mountain, and on the other side of the mountain was a big open area. And our goal was to get across that and up on the high ground before nightfall. So we go down. Well, the map makes it look like it's one big mountain. In actuality, it was three mountains, straight up, straight down, straight up, straight down. We get to the bottom of the second one, and there's water, and we're filling our canteens. But cut into the side of the mountain with steps going all the way up. So right away, you know this ain't just a trail that's hardly ever used. You know it's getting ready to happen. So we get to the top, and on the very top, there was Ron Goulet, our captain, Jim Jerson, the lieutenant, both of them KIAs, 3 yards in the very front, me and my interpreter, Egoy. All of a sudden, I say, we can't see anything, so we don't know for sure that open area is down there. And as I unsnapped my pistol belt, I said, let me take my stuff off and climb this tree. All of a sudden, I believe it was a rifle grenade because it killed all 3 of the yards. And what had happened is we walked up on a major trail and you couldn't see it. The jungle's so damn thick. And then all hell broke loose. And so Goulet, Jerson, me, and my interpreter are still alive. Everybody else is still coming up the hill. And they took some grenades. And so we had wounded coming up the hill. And my rifle took a round in the flash hider, so it was useless. My rucksack had bullets across, because I'm laying flat on the ground, hugging that ground. And it's like, okay, what are you going to do? And this is my very first time in combat. So I crawled over to where the guys were coming up the hill, and I got an M79 grenade launcher and a bandolier of ammo. And I said, I'm going to fire this sucker like a mortar and try to kill them all. So I did. And I did. I fired it like a mortar and I killed them all.
Shit.
Well, when everything was over, we're looking for whatever we can find, to pick up. And I find an M16.
Oh.
Yeah. So, of course, that got turned into Saigon and all that. Well, the word came back that M16 had been captured by the NVA on the Battle of Hill 875, the Battle of Dak To, a year earlier.
Oh,
well, that was the 66th NVA Regiment, right? So we're up against the same guys a year later, but we're in their backyard instead of them being in our backyard. So
that is eerie.
So, as time went on, I mean, there's Goulet, outstanding commander. But you had guys, we get an entire team wiped out, for instance. Well, the NVA's got all their weapons and all their gear. I mean, they're only good to them as long as they can get ammo for them.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't that difficult.
Nah, not from what I've been reading up on here. I was reading on Alert Team that they got hit by a hunter-killer team, and every single one of them had CAR 15s.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
CAR 15s?
Only one walked out, and the other was shot up and wounded, and 3 other of the LRPs were killed. They were a bad group.
Wow.
I think Larry Chambers, who will be coming on, it was one of his teammates that ended up surviving.
So, yeah, I mean, you
and he had it that long because there you are, 68, 69, 70, and Dak To took place in 67.
And this was in November of 68, so it was a year later, maybe a year and some months later. But, that NVA had it, and he probably had all the gear and everything too.
And the magazines that all of those troopers lost on the hill.
The 173rd lost a lot of guys on that hill. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of equipment that was captured. And, let's face it, there was stuff being stolen right and left. So
the black market is pretty much how Vietnam stayed running, to be honest.
Exactly. So there was a lot of American weapons we'd go up against. Now you could always tell by the sound, was it an AK or was it a M16?
Wow! Thank you for the donation, and Mr. Terry is, I'm sure, glad you could join us as well.
Yeah, what you just said, I want to say something about that. When we do these podcasts, invariably, and it'll probably happen this week, I get a lot of Facebook requests, friend requests. But when I look at those, I don't just automatically accept them.
No,
I look at them.
Please don't.
No. And if I see somebody and, for instance, they have no friends, there's nothing in there about information and all that, I delete them. Now, if it's somebody that truly listens to these podcasts or something, they need to let me know who they really are, or they're probably going to get deleted.
I was about to say, when folks reach out to me, I try and let you know, hey, they're on the up and up. Go ahead and accept these guys. They're good. But yeah, by all means, if y'all can message Mr. Terry and let him know, because I mean, all of the SOG vets this day and age are just getting inundated with scammers, fake people, all because SOG is on the forefront now. So absolutely, if you're going to follow him on Facebook, especially, let him know what's going on here.
There's a guy out there right now that he's friends with some of our SOG guys because they don't realize who he is, but he's been kicked out of several of the groups. And all he wants to do is badmouth SOG. And from what I've been able to research, he was in the 101st, but
I know who this is.
He probably never really did anything.
I blocked him months ago, even before.
But he's back again.
He keeps creating fake new profiles and everything.
Yeah. And So if anybody truly wants to be friends, that's not a scammer, you need to do something better with your Facebook page, because if it's all empty, I ain't going to respond. And I don't want to be hateful or nasty about it.
No, I mean, this day and age, you've got to look out for.
I'm not being stuck up about it, because I think the more the merrier. But it's kind of a vetting thing, you know.
Yeah.
Just like picking out the wannabe SOG guys. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially, I mean, this day and age with the popularity, there's a lot of nefarious characters out there.
How long has it been since?
We're at 2 hours right now, and about to.
The last podcast that I did was probably early September.
Was it? God, it's been a month now.
Been a month now.
Yeah.
In that month, Bud has picked up roughly about 1,500 subscribers.
We were at 867 yesterday, and it just jumped up to 876. It's jumped up an entire 1,000.
Yeah.
That's insane. I can't thank you guys enough, by the way. Also, I mean, all of y'all that have been around since the beginning, I've got some surprises coming. I'll give you a little sneak peek just before we close out, but I've got my hands on some interviews done in Las Vegas by some of the guys, and I'll be giving y'all some treats and letting y'all see some interviews that'll never see the light of day, to say the least. We need to start right now. Before we get off, we need to tell everybody that's watching live and be watching afterwards, start picking out and thinking of questions for the next time we have Mr. Terry on. We've covered a great deal of Leghorn. We've covered a great deal of gear information, and we've got so much more. And I'm even going to start making my own list like back in the early days. But let's start getting some good questions in here and let Mr. Terry open the door a little bit more for us.
For the old timers that are listening, it seems like we cover a lot of the same stuff over and over, and that may be my fault, but it's because Bud has picked up so many new subscribers. If I cover it during the podcast, then it saves them having to ask the questions, and then we spend time doing that. Or if we don't get to it, they don't feel like
got appreciated or got seen at all.
So there's a lot of repetition. The funny stories, I'll never get tired of telling, because that's the kind of shit you can't make up.
No.
You know, my best friend coming to the hospital in Japan. I mean, come on. You know, John getting shot in my camera, and it saved his life. And we joke about how I saved his life. It was really my camera. We were laughing about this morning when he called me. You know, he says, I want you to tell that story again, because it's one of those unbelievable stories that are just funny. They're serious, but they're at the same time, they're hilarious, you know. And
crazy.
He said, just don't badmouth me, because I never replaced the camera. And he had a good point. I should have kept that camera as a souvenir.
Oh man, yes.
But
50 years, you didn't think. Who's going to want to look at a destroyed camera? But
I kept my jungle boots with the bullet hole in them for years and years. But then in a flooded basement, they got ruined, and I had to throw them out because all the mildew and stuff, or the mold. But so, and he hasn't asked it except privately, but the idea of doing one every Friday, I think that would it would get to the point of being really hard to do a meaningful show if we did it every Friday. Now,
Recon sweater?
Sweater? Okay, that's an OD colored sweater. You can tell that's not black. That's OD.
Okay.
But we all had OD sweaters too, right?
Guys, these are super special photos that y'all are getting to look at from a CCS vet. So consider yourself mighty lucky getting to see these. I'm joking. But there you go. You're correct. OD right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have no idea what Mike. Sadly, Mike passed away 2 years ago, and we've come to the conclusion they think he's literally cut off the entire brim and is wearing it almost like a fez.
That's what it looks like.
And that's the best we can come up with on what he was doing with that.
No, I thought about that when I first saw that picture. Is there. It's, looking at it, that's not a boonie hat. That's a hat that he had made special.
Okay. Holy crap. That's Baby Son Davidson in that photo, and I never realized it.
Yep. That's something down at the 5th group reunion. I'll have to make you a copy of it. I took along a copy of a set of orders when I was in training group. When we qualified with the M16. So there's a whole page of names on there, and you wouldn't believe all the names. You got Doug Letourneau, you got Tony Bandera, you got me, you got my buddy Jack Young, which we talked about yesterday. There's DeLima, Ricardo Davis.
Baby Son Senior.
Yep. Of course,
damn, there's a lot of y'all on that. I need to find that list and see. Doug Letourneau, I think William Copley was on that list.
Oh, you know what?
Glenn Umera.
Now, the orders for the M16.
Oh, that may be different from the orders for
different set of orders, but I've got the Letourneau and let's see here, 30 June 69. So it's before that. Let's see. Okay, there's my Purple Heart orders. My CIB. Okay, this is the orders. My CIB. I'm Donald Shepard's different than Mike Shepard.
Don Shepard, CCN vet, stud, ran with Eldon Bargewell.
Braswell, Sudduth, Schrump, Mark Gentry.
Oh, Mark. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't even recognize most of those names. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Bandera, Barnes, Dave Barta, Stephen Booth,
CCN.
Broyles was killed on the roadblock mission. That was the one that John has had trouble with. Mm-hmm. He was in a King Bee and it got hit by a rocket and exploded and slid down the hill, and they weren't able to get a body. Me, Leroy Chisholm, Ricardo Davis, William DeLima,
Bill.
William Gabbard, he was my buddy in training group.
DCN man.
Robert Gherkin, he's the one that was practicing fixed quick draw with a 1911 and a shoulder holster, and the bullet went in his hip and came out his knee, and he lost his leg.
Jeez.
That's what made me afraid of 1911s. And now that's what I carry.
Yeah, I was about to say, you love that now.
Yeah. Let's see. Reginald Gray. We just talked about him a week or two ago. Mm-hmm. David Higgins.
A lot of CCN guys on that list.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Alan Hoffman. Wasn't he CCN?
He was CCC in 71 with Howard. Okay.
So he must have had 2 tours because he was in training group in early 68 when these orders were cut. Let's see. Carl Massey.
CCS. Martin Montgomery was he was a SOG vet.
Yeah. John Peterson, Earl Savage.
Yes, I know that name.
Yeah. Cletus Vineyard.
Baby Son.
Baby Son. Robert Taylor.
Bob Ernest Taylor. Vance. That's Pops from CCS.
Yeah. Ernest Vance. Villarreal.
That's Villarreal is definitely.
Is he not the one that they captured alive?
No, that's Villarosa.
Villarosa.
Villarreal, though, is also, because I recognize that from a Hardy book.
Gary Wieland and my buddy Harold Wilson. Perfect example of what I've talked about before about compartmentalization. So Hal and I were in training group together, and then Jack Young. But Hal and I, we ran together in the evenings and stuff at Bragg. And he was at CCC and Recon, and I'm in Hatchet Force, and neither one of us knew that the other was there,
Yeah, he's with Ed Walkoff on New York.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah. Crazy compartmentalization.
So yeah, it's just... It's almost like we were worlds away, but you look back at all these orders and stuff, and you see the time perspective of how we, a lot of us knew each other, but then we lost track of each other as we went to NAM and went to different places in NAM. So,
all righty, guys. I hate to cut us short, but I am about to have to go walk the dogs and walk one of the other rescues up at the house who's solo now.
I got to let the dogs out. So
they run my life now. So we need to start getting ready and get people to start thinking of some stories.
We got to have stories,
questions. I mean, yep. And someone's talking about early life stories might be interesting, Daryl said.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can talk about how I was undefeated 2 years in a row in high school wrestling, and my nickname was Superman, and what that's done to me in the years since. And when I got out of the Army, I was going to be a professional wrestler, which I still regret not being able to do. But the first time I got body slammed, my back, 2 broken backs, said, "No, you can't do this, dude."
I've just written this down. We've got to cover that. I'd forgotten about the undefeated wrestling, but I did not know about the pro wrestling. So we have got to cover that one.
You know, the comments that people make about, badass and all that, that's all well and good, but it went to my head, and there's reasons, and we can talk about that then on the next time. But the last fight in my life that I ever lost was at the beginning of 8th grade, if that tells you anything.
That's a long time undefeated with the fist.
I've never been known to be a shy person. You could ask the homeless guy in town about the 45 in his forehead. I could tell that story too.
Woo! All right. Well, at least we've got some good stuff already laid out here right now for when you come back. We've got the next 2 weeks are going to be quite busy because we've got our first grunt. I'll give him a little props here. We've got Mr. Ed on Thursday, our first non-special forces veteran. So, and then we'll have some LERPs on. But maybe we can start looking at November then, because my birthday is the 6th. Maybe we can knock out a show either on my birthday or before my birthday.
Yeah. I guess November's really not that far away, is it?
No.
Deer season will be here before we know it.
Very quick. But I'll stay in touch with you, and we'll get our schedules together. And everybody watching, let's start thinking of some questions for our show in November.
And I'm gonna get offline. I'll get with Daniel about this video and see what we can do. But you need to try it on your other laptop.
That's what I'm about to do after I walk the dogs.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Everybody be good, and we will see you.